Welcome back in, Geico Outkick Studios. Appreciate all of you hanging out with us. We are rolling through the program and so many different NFL and college football stories to discuss. Just came out of Todd Furman. We're scheduled to be joined by Mississippi State head football coach Mike Leach in the next hour, and I imagine that conversation will be pretty interesting. We talked about what a big win it was for Mississippi State. I mean, historically a big win. We talked a lot about Oklahoma, Choklahoma, as many people would call them over the years. Second straight year they have lost as major favorites against Kansas State. This one arguably worse because they were at home, and it was a situation where, frankly, they never, ever should have been in a position to lose that football game after being up 21 at home. And instead they did. They lose 38-35. Texas survived 63-56. Both the Big 12 Lions, we'll say, the biggest brands in the Big 12, the teams that typically are the straws that stir the drink in the Big 12, nearly went down within a few hours of each other. And so to me, that was a big takeaway. That was a big storyline coming out of college football. But I don't know about you and everybody out there listening, but all 14 SEC teams playing and those games taking place all throughout the course of the day from noon Eastern until well after 10 o'clock when the University, or 11 o'clock when the University of Tennessee finally got an unbelievable lucky bounce against South Carolina. If you weren't watching that game, Tennessee punted. Looked like South Carolina was going to get the ball down 4 with a chance to come back and drive and try to get a winning touchdown. Would have been unlikely, but the way they'd moved the ball, no timeouts, about a minute and a half to go. Instead, one of their guys is blocking, and he's got his back turned to the ball. It bounces off of him. Tennessee recovers it and wins the game. And as a result, Tennessee now has won 7 games in a row. It was a crazy ending, right? It started with a noon kickoff, and Kyle Trask, who I told a lot of you who listen to this program, you're going to remember me saying this. If you had told me that I had to point to one guy in college football who could have a Joe Burrow-like rise this season playing for a good team and lead his team into national championship caliber discussion, Heisman Trophy, candidacy, it would be Kyle Trask. And that's because there's a little bit of similarity between Trask and Burrow. Gets the job, doesn't have a lot of time as a junior to really get the flow and the feel of his teammates. You'll recall that Kyle Trask took over after Felipe Franks got his leg broken against Kentucky. Kyle Trask came in and almost immediately had success, but it wasn't yet his team. And then he got an entire offseason, much like Joe Burrow did. And so much of the discussion today, for people talking about what happened over the weekend in college football, is about KJ Costello, and for good reason. He threw for over 600 yards. But when you look at the storylines, Kyle Trask went out and threw 6 freaking touchdown passes. And usually that would be the overall number one story, but then KJ Costello pulled off the upset like he did, and a lot of people didn't notice Kyle Trask. So that was a big part of the story from college football. Also, Dub, your Auburn team, we had Greg Sankey on Friday, the commissioner of the SEC. And I said, hey, commissioner, on some level, aren't you looking forward to new controversies and it being like a busted call, a blown call, everybody being convinced that their team, that the SEC's out to get them, instead of, hey, whether you're going to play or not, or all the uncertainty surrounding the COVID testing and everything else, that non-touchdown call could have changed everything. And I say that, I know, Dub, you were on Kentucky plus the 7.5 as well. Kentucky scored, and it should have been, if my math is right, and I think my math is right here, it would have basically made the score 14-8 probably at halftime. Kentucky would have been up 6. Instead, inexplicably, the SEC officials on the field missed the touchdown, and then they also missed the touchdown doing the replay review. And so then they throw an interception, which Auburn picks off, returns 100 yards for a touchdown, and I think they were like, oh my God, we blew this. Let's see if we can find a foul in the background. And luckily they found a targeting foul, so they took that off. I mean, it was just a totally wild end to the half. And I felt like Kentucky got completely screwed. You're an Auburn grad and an Auburn fan. Do you agree that that was totally the wrong call?
I mean, I'm not trying to be hyperbolic here, but the fact that they, A, missed it on the field, and then B, went to the cameras, went to the review, took some good time trying to figure it out, and still said that he was short of the goal. I mean, half of his body was in the end zone. I think it was the worst call I've ever seen in my life, and that's coming from someone who has a big interest in Auburn University football.
Yes.
It was insane to me how that was not a touchdown. And then you mentioned it. The very next play, they throw up, what we thought was a pick six. The referees go back. That was, the definition of a makeup call right there, and deservedly so.
Really, I felt like it was like 1990s NBA when the makeup call was like a staple of everything. You blow one call on the other end, and it made immediately come back down and make up for it. I think, look, we saw this happen in the Titans game where you have – I hate when I see fouls, like flags thrown for plays that really don't have anything to do with on-the-field results. Does that make sense to you? Like, if for anybody out there who watched the Vikings-Titans game, there was a pick six for the Titans, and they ran it in. There was absolutely no way that anybody on the Vikings were going to be able to make a play on it. And they got Javon Curse for a block. Javon Curse. They got a guy that the Titans hope is going to be Javon Curse. They got Jadeveon Clowney behind him for a blindside block. By the way, Javon Curse is driving around his car right now. He's like, dude, I've been retired for a decade. Why are you calling me out for a blindside block? Jadeveon Clowney. They get him for a block that has nothing to do with the play. And I felt like, I don't know if you agree with me, Dub, on that targeting call, if it doesn't change the outcome of the play, then most of the time, to me, you shouldn't throw the flag, right? Like, if you'll see this happen a lot of times in the NBA. I use this example again. But if, like, they think that a guy might have gotten touched, but he still makes the layup, they're like, okay, no harm, no foul. If he gets hit and he misses the layup, a lot of times you'll hear the late whistle. If it doesn't impact the overall outcome of the play, I don't think the flag should be thrown. But there I did, because they had missed the touchdown to such an extent. And it always seems like whenever you have a missed call like that, there's a mushroom cloud moment where the missed call gets taken to the next level, right? And I hate to bring up Steve Bartman, but Cubs fans, before they won their first World Series, know what I'm talking about. Bartman reaches out over Moises Alou, and that wasn't the play that changed everything. That there were a couple of other major plays that happened in that inning, but that was the linchpin to allow the badness to happen. And it feels like a lot of times when there's a missed call, that's what happens. Not only is the call wrong, but then it's manifested even worse by a play later, right? If Kentucky had gone ahead and scored on the next play or the play after, then nobody would have been sitting around saying, oh my God, Kentucky got screwed. But instead, they didn't. By the way, also, I didn't think Alabama looked very good. And I don't know. I know they got up 35-3, and Nick Saban kind of called the dogs off. And as a result, we didn't get the cover in that game, even though I feel like if Alabama had needed to win by 28 or more, they would have. But that was not a Nick Saban-like performance from Alabama. It didn't seem clinical. It didn't seem disciplined. I know Alabama's still obviously very, very talented. But I don't know about you, but they went to the new quarterback, the 5-star stud, Bryce. What's his name? Is it Bryce Love? Am I right about that?
Mac Jones?
No. Mac Jones is the starter, the 5-star that came in to take over.
Yeah. I didn't. I was too far gone at that point in the second half of the game.
You were too drunk to know what was going on in that game? Well, it was a late-night game, and I was still paying a lot of attention because I wanted to know whether or not Alabama was going to cover. So I was slipping back and forth between the Tennessee-South Carolina game and that one, and I was just curious what exactly was going to happen. And this guy is supposed to be the next, great Bryce Young. Bryce Young is supposed to be the next great guy, the next great transcendent college football star. And so Alabama wanted to get him work, and I think it's smart to get your backups maybe more work than normal because, frankly, with this coronavirus where you're maybe going to have to play more guys, maybe you're going to have some guys who test positive, it probably makes sense to bring in more guys. But I didn't think Alabama looked very good. I also didn't think Texas A&M looked very good. And they're now in year 3 of Jimbo Fisher. They're paying him $75 million guaranteed, $7.5 million a year. They weren't very good. And Georgia was just atrocious in the first half against Arkansas. Give Arkansas some credit, Barry Odom's defense, at least for the first half, but they were so bad, Arkansas was, in the second half. They managed to get a cover for some people. They were leading 10-5 with 8 minutes to go in the third quarter, and they ended up losing by 27 against Georgia. I don't think Georgia has a quarterback. We'll see what happens with JT Daniels, whether he ever gets cleared or not. But to me, Georgia looks substantially worse than Florida if you're kind of looking down the line based on seeing the debut. But to me, just being able to watch all 14 of those SEC teams, Greg Sankey and the SEC managed to be the first college football conference to have every single scheduled game played and have every team in action in college football in a conference on the same weekend. And that's a tremendous success story. I hope it continues next week. What else stood out to you?
Well, I was just going to say the Georgia quarterback situation is not looking very pretty. And I say that as an Auburn fan again, because that's who Auburn is playing in week 2 is Georgia. So
that's a big game all of a sudden
happening.
And by the way, Texas
early.
A&M. Yeah, Texas A&M's going on the road against Alabama, which is another massive game for both of those teams.
Yeah, so we thought this week 1 was amazing. Just wait a few more days till week 2 rolls around.
No doubt. I will tell you right now that I am excited for everybody out there to go check out Outkick, finish out the month of September with us in strength. And I'd also love for you to go sign up for the Outkick VIP right now. Tomorrow you're going to hear Jason Whitlock on this program, and you're going to say, man, that's the best sports talk radio in the country every single Tuesday when the two of us chop it up. And you're going to think to yourself, I know I've been thinking about it for a while. It's time to sign up for Outkick VIP. Why not do it today? Why not go ahead, sign up for Outkick VIP today? I signed hundreds of copies of my most recent book. They're going out to all our VIPs. You are going to absolutely love the Outkick VIP. Outkick.com. Go sign up. $99. You get the right to call directly into our show on the VIP phone line. Get the ability to comment on every single article we have up on the site. Exclusive interactions, events, all different sorts of things going on for the VIP. VIP message board. We are creating a community of awesome sports fans within the Outkick VIP. Join our club today. We got monthly cost, $12.99. Yearly subscription, $99. Thousands and thousands of you rolling in. Join the crew, and let's have some fun together at Outkick.com.